Today on the Kite Bag Tour, it's some long-awaited arrivals and some vintage treasures. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kite Bag Tour and Skyrider Limited. I am Jesse. Today on the Kite Bag Tour, we have a bunch of dual line kites. Let's see here. I've got stuff from friends. I've got a kite I've been looking for like 3 years. I've got a couple of sales that made their way here from Germany. I've got all sorts of stuff for you guys. I even have a monster waiting in the wings. Uh, it's gonna be quite the episode. So, um, get ready for some cool stuff on this one for sure. Um, bear with me here. I am. If you're a regular viewer of the channel and watched Training Days, the series where I'm getting ready for the World Cup this coming April, you will know that I have been battling a cold, and so if I sound a little froggy, that's why. I think we will start with. I think we're going to start with the one I've been looking for years. So this kite, I am really stoked. I stumbled across it. I found it in France. I have been trying to get one in the U.S. for a couple of years now. Um, Ever since I read a review and some descriptions of it, it's kind of held my interest. And I've flown it twice now, and I'm yet to be disappointed. So we'll dive right in with the HQ Mantra. So what we have here is an HQ Mantra. I have been trying to track one of these down for years. I had reached out to the guys at HQ USA and to Cassie at Flying Smiles and couldn't find one. The USA guys never were able to get one in. And finally, a few months ago, I found one hiding on a French website. And after conversions and shipping, it was about the same price as it would have been in the US. So I pulled the trigger because, again, I've been looking for one of these for a long time. It's an interesting kite. It was a lot of fun the first couple of times I've flown it. Backspin monster. One of the easiest backspin cascades I've ever done. That is a trick I struggle with, and super accessible the first try. It is Icarus. It is kind of one of the last of the higher end HQs. It's a 2.4 meter wingspan, so nearly full size sport kite. 3-point bridle, yo-yo stops. Does use HQ fittings, which some people aren't super fond of. I have no problem with them. They hold the sticks well. They stay in their place well. If I had any criticism on the fittings at all, it might be that they're still using C-clips instead of donuts, but I do understand from an ease of manufacturing why they're doing that. It's a Skyshark frame, P2X, leading edges and spine, 5 PT spreaders, so effectively a light standard. 3 mil carbon outer spreader, 3 mil helical inner, so a little bit of an active tunnel there. It's fun. It's good down to about 4 or 5 miles an hour, and it's a little on the high aspect side, so it does have a tendency to the overturn, but not unpleasantly. And kind of an interesting one. This leading edge material, I'm not 100% sure what it is, but they've printed this really cool, like, carbon weave pattern on it. When I first saw it in pictures, I wasn't sure what was going on. Seeing it in person, I actually kind of like it. If I have a criticism of the kite at all, and this is kind of a HQ criticism that I've had for 20 something years now, you can probably see on the wing over there the tag sticking out. Why they sew the tag into HQ Germany, if you are listening. I know you have to put the tags on them. I understand why you put the tags on them. Could we maybe put them in the spine seam, please? If the kite's not affected by this big rubber HQ logo, I can't imagine moving the tag to the spine seam would make a huge difference. it's a snag spot, and it's gonna be a snag spot, and it doesn't have to be a snag spot. Um, Nose is super durable. It's got a Dacron patch and then a seatbelt webbing over. I've said it before. I really like the loop side of Velcro as a wear patch. It wears well. It doesn't put a lot of wear into the spreader while protecting the sail. Um, and it was fun. I was really, really happy. You know, when you pine after something for so long, you're not sure you're really going to enjoy it, and it showed up, and it was fun from the word go. So, I mean, that's really all I can ask. They're, like I said, super hard to come by. So if you come across one, I highly recommend you grab one. Super playful 2-4 kite. Right in my favorite sweet spot of size and framing, stiff enough to be reactive, bouncy enough to be playful. So check the HQ mantra out. Sticking in the European theater here, another German entry. This is from Diamond Kites. Diamond Kites kind of was biggest through the 20 teens, and then Thorsten stopped building kites for a while, and he is I'm not going to speak for him and say he's back, but he is building some sails again and an occasional complete kite, and just kind of putting them up in some of the Facebook groups for sale. Um, this is a Nero. It is the standard variant. This one and the next kite came to me as sails, and so I framed and fitted them out and tied the bridles. Um, the fitting sheets and everything were fairly precise, if a little troublesome with some there's some sticks, particularly this one, particularly the tail extension, that are decidedly European and very hard to source in the US. Ended up solving that particular piece, the tail extension on this, with an offcut chunk of a Sky Shark XLS, which is roughly the same weight and size as the original stick. So the kite is within about a gram of on the money. It's an interesting shape. It's got a very sucked in nose. Um, it is all arrow stuff for the most part. Like I said, it's an XLS, about 10 centimeters of XLS on the bottom there, and then an arrow gold in the spine. It's arrow gold spreaders. There's a gold S leading edge and a P200 upper spreader. It is a lot of arrow stuff, and it flies like it. It has that brutalist stiffness of the arrow stuff kites, which I really do like. I grew up on team kites that were pretty stiff, so I respond well to the stiffer kites. Um, I haven't flown a lot of kites that are this pinched at the nose, and I am still kind of coming to terms with the balance on this thing. Uh, it has some interesting rotational tendencies. I think there is quite a lot here. I'm sure there is quite a lot here. But it is going to be a learning curve because it is just measurably different. One thing I did, sorry, Thurston, if you're watching, I poked holes in your sail. Um, the kite the leading edge has slots in the framing sheet called for R Sky yo-yo stops. Our Sky Yo-Yo stops, as a lot of you will know already, have pretty well dried up in the US, and I would imagine the supply in Europe is dwindling now that our Sky has moved on from kite production into events. I imagine that the center tees, which are a little more available, will start to dry up at some point, and we're all going to have to figure out what we're going to do about that. I suspect that higher end kites will do quite a lot of what this thing has, which is the corded center tee. We're already starting to see that a lot, with a lot of the newer canvas stuff going that way, and a number of kites having done that previously, like the Alpha Kite stuff. Um, it's like I said, it's fun. It's a learning curve. It's very different from the stuff I've been flying, but it is very capable as far as workmanship. Thorsten does a beautiful job putting these sails together. They are flat felled in places. They are taped in places. The stitching that he is using is this wonderful triple stitch per zigzag, and he is so precise with it. The endings are all super tight, and his reinforcements are all beautifully cut. uh, it's an immensely well put together sail. So I hope I did at least remotely close to as good a job framing it up. And I am not gonna lie, it did hurt my soul a little punch holes in it for those yo-yo stops, but um, it means that it gets to have yo-yo stops. So necessary evils, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been fun to play with. I need to spend more time with it before I can really definitively say if I get along with it or not. But the flashes of its personality that I've gotten in the couple of times I've been out with it make it very clear that it's immensely capable if it's your style of kite. Um, so that's the standard. Sit tight, and I'm gonna go get I'm gonna go get another Nero. And here we are with the second. So this is my Ultralight Nero. Also in Arrow Stuff and Sky Shark. This is a P90 upper spreader and a 3PT spine. It's a 3PT 40 one piece spine. It has got Arrow Gold S spreaders and a stick I don't have a great track record with, an Arrow Blue leading edge. Anybody who is familiar with my collection of Ultims may or may not have heard me grouse at one point or another about my struggles with Arrow Stuff Blue leading edges and a tendency to come down to a wingtip stand and snap them right at the APA. How consistent am I at that? Well, in the time I've had this kite, I have broken 3 leading edges already, and I have broken every single run right there at that donut, and it is all my fault. Devin, you were right. I admit it. It was all my fault. I was pretty sure I didn't break the last one the same way until I pulled it out of the kite and found out that I broke it in the same spot to the millimeter like a dummy. But it's pretty. I have always loved all white ultralights. This is nothing short of stunning, like the standard. Thurston's workmanship is immaculate, but he took it a step further on this all white by pinstriping the sail outline in spots to really make it pop. Again, I felt bad poking some holes in this guy to put some yo-yo stops on. It is a very light leading edge material already, too. So I was really nervous about doing that, but got some yo-yo blocks on it. I will keep playing with it, and I will be mindful of how much I let the wind out of it as I come down to land. And hopefully I will get better about my usage of Arrow Stuff Blue, since they are both expensive and hard to come by. Um, but it's just such a lovely thing. And I am hopeful that, again, as I spend some more time, I've been bad and did not bottom one. Everybody see that? Everybody see that APA that I just went and fixed? If your APA looks like that, you're doing it wrong. Make sure your stick is all the way in. If it is all the way in, they'll be nice and straight. If it is not all the way in, like that, it'll do things like that. And that's usually when you put holes in your kite. Make sure that stick is nice and bottomed out in the pocket of the APA. Your sail will thank you. Yeah, so again, beautifully precise and meticulous work on these guys from Thorsten. I'm stoked to see some diamond kites coming back into the world. It was a brand that fascinated me while I was out of kites and just sort of eavesdropping on the land of sport kites. So I'm excited that they exist again in a manner that I am able to try a few. Um, Video forthcoming on both of those for sure. So now we're gonna move on to a couple of kites that I've been waiting to arrive from our friends at Canvas. So sit tight. This one's going to go away, and two new things shall appear in its place. So this one took a minute to get around to doing, and then took a minute to get around to being done for a variety of materials reasons. But we're here, and we are excited. I once again have a complete set of canvas kites. I have one of everything that is in production. Um, this once again completes my Crux set. I had some fairly early. I think they're 11 and 12. Sale numbers 11 and 12. Standard and ultralight, and then I have a deluxe as well that you've seen, the black and white deluxe that I got last December. This is the strong and the super ultralight. And these two are interesting animals in their own right. Sail shape is consistent across the line. It is 239 centimeters wingspan, so about 4 centimeters smaller than that mantra we started with for sense of scale in here. Um, the strong is a beefy boy. It is 7 PT leading edge and spreaders and a P400 spine. With a 6 mil upper spreader. It is built. It's a strong. It's built for momentum and mass. Excuse me. Momentum and mass and heavy wind. With that, it gained an extra standoff. The Crux has always been a single standoff kite per side. This active standoff allowing the tunnel to hold a little more shape when that wind gets um, kinetic. I cannot wait to get this thing out. I love the strong spur. It is one of my favorite things to just throw around. And I have little to no doubt, again, excuse me, little to no doubt that this guy is going to be just as much fun. Everybody knows I absolutely adore the um, the regular Crux and the Crux Deluxe and the UL. Everybody's favorite two-lined axe murderers. Um, Bellatrix Lestrange, the boys call the kite. And it's it's big for a freestyle kite, but it is a freestyle kite, and that works for me because I've long said I struggle with smaller kites, and this thing's size solves a lot of my issues. Some notable differences. Here on the bridle, we have a much longer turbo leg on this guy than the rest of the lineup. And down on the on the SUL rather, you can't quite see it because this bridle's moved a little the way I have it hung, but they actually went to a 3 point on the SUL. The SUL is also interesting because it continues their trend of creative mixes of carbon. This is all a crystal S3 structure, so leading edges and spreaders. It's a 4 mil top spreader, and the spine, I believe, is a P100. Um, this guy is super light for a 2.4, 2.4 window meter kite. Their SULs, look, I've said it a bunch of times. Mass doesn't matter as much as efficiency. Doesn't matter if the kite lifts well, it can be heavy. Certainly, if you drop the weight down and you build an efficient kite, that is only to benefit. But mass is not the people obsess about the weight of SULs, and I find it unnecessary. That said, this thing is dummy light. S3s are super light tubes. The 4 mil weighs nothing. It's got like single digit grams worth of tail weight in it, just enough to help it move. And I'm really looking forward to some low wind days to play with this guy too. My signature red reappears. Most of my canvas kites are in red. All of my intentions, all of the mainline Cruxes, and my tanks are all red. Frank, which was a gift from the guys, is in a one-off colorway, which was a colorway from when I was designing some colors for the production Franks. And as you guys know, my spurs are white label on the. They're an homage to some of my early Pairs kites from Buena Vista with my dad, with the single Reuben wingtip. So it's nice to have some fresh red Icarus in my world. I'm looking forward to getting these guys in the sky. And now we arrive at the vintage kites. Um, this one came from the same collection as the the last group of vintage kites that I shared. Um, excuse me, the one that had the MEFMs in it and the Neptune. This is a Windflight Kites Vision, another Rick Rondinone. This is dated for 1994. It's an all Beeman frame. It is ripstop nylon, and it is sewn with the same remarkable care that Rick put into that quad we saw in that other video. The gentleman who had come into possession of this collection and I got talking, and sort of decided that this needed to join its counterpart in the portion of the collection that I had bought, and we struck a deal while I was at Newport. And so about a week later, I drove out about halfway out to him. He's out on the western end of Mass, and met him out at a we met at like an Applebee's or something. I don't even remember. At like 9 in the morning to pick this guy up. And it's beautiful. It's this sort of raspberry color that is very close to what Reuben Icarus was, that we just don't have anymore in most of the materials. Does have a kind of unfortunate patch here where I'm assuming this spreader at one point rubbed through. I might talk to some friends and see if somebody can unstitch and repair the applique properly instead of the stick-on patch at some point. But other than that, the only thing I had to do to it was some fresh shock cord, and originally had snap style connectors on the sail, and at some point those standoffs had been unsnapped for storage and lost. Um, so I ended up putting some modern screwbacks on and just kind of used the depth of the sail as a guide. It's an interesting shape, and I think it'll be kind of fun. There's a wider, flatter nose, but it's definitely heading in a direction where tricks were starting to show up in the middle '90s. So, one thing of kind of interest is how long and decompressed this bridle is, and particularly how massive that turbo leg is. Um, Probably lost to time at this point. There are some markings on this bridle. It definitely has an adjustable in-haul turbo leg. There's a black and a red there, a red and a black there. So there was also a trade between angle of attack and out haul there. I gotta put a tape measure on it just to make sure everything's symmetrical still. But other than that, it's pretty much ready to go in the air, and I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing what this one's about. People speak really highly of his later dual line kite, the Envision, particularly Tori Lindemann and Scott Weeder have spoken to me about that kite being among their prized prized possessions. So maybe someday I'll track down the third one. But until then, Windflight Vision to go with the quad that I picked up. Nice addition, and cool to have both a sport kite and a piece of local art in the collection for sure. Um, um, I have a Firestorm, so I have been aware of this thing is hilarious. I am standing fully underneath it. Um, I have been aware of this kite for a while. Came out in the '90s, late '90s, I think. New Tech was where Dodd Gross went to design kites after HQ, I believe, and before Skydog. So this thing's probably like 98, 99, I think, maybe 2000. I might be off on the dates, to be honest. It might be early 2000s. At any rate, um, I have a couple of jam sessions, which are the pretty much the extent of my Dodd Gross collection. I did not own anything from New Tech. It's funny, I know so many people that were at New Tech over the years, uh, but I never owned anything from New Tech until now. And I so Devin from Canvas has one in his collection, same color. Evo, who's been on the channel before, has one in the red. He brought his to Newport with him, and Friday afternoon on the sort of screwing around day, he and I started to see what was the most ridiculous trick we could get the Firestorm to do. And I was like instantly in love. It is not the biggest trickable sport kite ever produced. It is not the biggest sport dual line sport kite we own. Uh, there is the matter of the gigantic Banshee Pegasus hiding somewhere in the basement, but this is the biggest trickable sport kite that I own now. Like the only thing that was produced bigger trickable in mass production was like the Thor's Hammer by Level One, which is a pretty rare bird, and they go for a pretty remarkable sum of money when they come up for sale. These guys are still pretty rare. They're not Thor's Hammer rare, but they're pretty rare. And finding them intact, let alone in what appears to be new unflown condition, it is in unbelievable shape. It even has the tag hanging on the bag still, which is where we got to discover that this thing is 10.5 feet wingtip to wingtip, or 3.2 meters, which means it is 25 centimeters bigger than the Diva, which was my biggest trickable sport kite in the collection. So it is huge. It is framed in all via 8 mil. I mean, look at this thing. I'm standing underneath it in a wingtip stand, and like my outstretched hand just gets to the leading edge. I love it. I cannot wait to shoot video with it. It does sort of almost kind of want a Jacob's ladder. We found that out in Newport. I was doing comets with it with Evos at Newport, so that's hilarious. And mind you, we're doing this on like 60-foot lines, so the kite is 6 wingspans of kite is our line set. Um, without any problem. And somehow that was not actually that claustrophobic and was actually quite a lot of fun. And like I said, it's in remarkable shape. So I'm really, really stoked about all of that. Um, yeah, I don't have a lot of Dodd kites. Um, I don't know why. I don't have any issue with any of Dodd's kites. I like a lot of them actually. I just don't have a ton in my collection. So Dodd designed kite, and I mean, I think at this point I'm well on record. I like big kites, so I mean, hang on, stay right there. Just stare at this thing for a second. the the seller was kind enough to throw in a spare spreader. I'm not really sure why yet, so that's interesting. But just want to show that that is 60% of me in lower spreader. But look at the length of the bag this thing goes in so that it can be stored. What kite bag are you putting this bag into? Full length. Like I can't imagine. Like even at half length, because again, the spreader. Even at half length, this thing, it must have been a nightmare for the New Tech crew to ship back in the day. I know things were cheaper, but like, can you imagine packing and shipping this thing? The poor shipping folks at New Tech, when some kite shop owner was like, I'll order some Firestorms. I mean, I'll tell you what, cool touches. The bag is fully embroidered. You got the New Tech Kites Firestorm designed by Dodd Gross. Oh, excuse me. And like I said, still has bag tag on there. So identifies it as a blue colorway, New Tech Kites. Wind range 2 to 18. Who is flying this thing at 18 miles an hour? Dodd, I know you're out there on like on Facebook. Did you actually test this thing to 18 miles an hour? I want to know. I want to know if that was just like a blanket. Oh, we'll just say 2 to 18, or if you really flew one of these to 18 miles an hour and if it really held on. 200 by 100. Apparently, they were originally ready to fly. This one did not come with its line. with its line set, which is fine. Uh, Part of the Explosive series by Dodd Gross. Dude, this thing is, uh, I mean, right? It's so fun. They're so fun. They're big. They're gentle giants, and they just kind of like because it is pultruded. Like it may be 8 mil, but it is pultruded. It's still bouncy, and at this scale, it's bouncy. So like it modulates energy really well and moves like they did a really nice comet with it. Um, Yeah, video forthcoming. I need to find about a 6 mile an hour day. I think is probably going to be optimal where I don't have to run or beat it to death to get it to do things. But that is definitely coming, and watch the channel for that. And quite honestly, you may have seen the announcement by now from the American Kite Flyers Association. I'll be up at the national convention in Niagara Falls, New York this year, and they've asked me to do some workshops, which are extremely freeform. They are basically blanket and anything you want to do sport kite workshops. So if somebody shows up and they've never flown a sport kite, we'll figure that out. If there's a trick you want to learn and I know it, I will happily try and teach. But mostly we're just going to hang out and fly some sport kites. I think we're on the field 1 to 4 most of the weekdays, but check the schedule. Um, there is no chance I am not bringing this thing with me. I mean, this is such a fun, like, pass it around and laugh kite for sure. So, New Tech Firestorm. Um, I think we ended on the right note because, again, the size of it, the size of me. I had to move the camera back. I don't know if you could tell. I had to move the camera back to get it all in frame because, again, right? Um, Guys, thank you as always for watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, following, commenting, participating. We're coming up on 1,200 subscribers on the YouTube channel. TikTok is still going strong. Instagram still going strong. You don't catch the daily shorts on YouTube, they're over on uh, pretty much all the other major platforms. Um, Thank you all as always. I get to keep doing this because it's fun and because you're enjoying it, which makes it more fun. So I will see you out there, Skyrider.